Hey Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Designer Studio episode. Today we're taking a little closer look at the Sikorsky SH-3 Sea King, more specifically the one used in the recovery of the Apollo 11 command module. George Hicks, our designer. Round three.
Round three, yeah.
for Brickmania when it comes to the Sea Kings.
I think I've been affectionately called the SH-3 variant master, which I am not a master at all, but I'll take credit for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, originally when Dan and I first started talking, this was what I had submitted because I didn't realize that Space Race last year was going to be for the Gemini program. And so I'd submitted Old 66, which has got a lot of history with the Apollo program. And then we decided, well, we'll do that next year. Let's go with the Gemini. So I had to find all the photos for that dark gray version, which there really wasn't a whole lot out there.
Sure.
But between him and I, we found enough material, ordered some books online, and came up with it. But this is fairly the same model. A few different parts used here and there, obviously color. But I think on the original Sea King I did, there was a Trident's logo up here on a modified bracket. So that's not there because the Sea Knight's logo's down here.
And
So,
I love the capsules. Like
yes.
It's such a cool piece.
Brennan was the project manager on this one, and we were talking, and I said, I don't care what printing you put on it. The only request I have is the capsule markings down here.
Yes.
Because before the 11, it picked up 8 and 10, I believe. And then it picked up 11. I think it was responsible for 13, maybe. And then I think 15 may have been the last one. Don't hold me to that. But after Apollo 11, the Navy changed their number designations. So this went from a 2-digit to a 3-digit. And every time they went to go back to do an Apollo capsule or Apollo crew pickup, they repainted it back to 66.
Back to the old 66,
because
yeah, cool.
it was so infamous. So, and then sadly, it was lost in a training mission, I believe late 70s. I mean, all crew survived the initial wreck. I think one may have died later in the hospital. But, and there's been several people that wanted to try to pull it back up and restore it and put it on display, but it just, Navy, I guess, owns the property of it and won't
Yeah,
let
it's been down there a while too.
Yeah,
so.
they're just going to leave it there. So, but there's several SH-3 helicopters in museums around the world that are painted up like 66 just to represent it. So,
Which is cool. I mean, that really does give you an idea of just how famous this helicopter was for doing that.
You mentioned Old 66, and if you're talking to a Navy guy, they know immediately. Oh yeah, SH-3 Sea King. So it's definitely got its own history in the Apollo program. Plus, it was used for anti-submarine warfare in between. So.
Well, and then in the Lego form here, look how good. Look at this. Look how fast I can make a mock. Boom. Right. That's the fastest mock you've ever seen. But I mean, that's just awesome. You can already see how well the scale of those two models integrate with each other, and how that comes together.
Yeah, so that would be a fantastically large display.
Absolutely.
I hope somebody does.
Absolutely.
At some point.
So the pinnacle of Space Race, which is actually funny because for our Space Race mock contest, we've had some people build that exact scene in some various forms.
Yep.
Varying scales. Obviously, this scale would require a lot of bricks and a lot of know-how.
And then roof comes off, you've got your interior. You can pop that side door off, set it to the side. So you can place your divers in here, have them ready to jump out and get the flotation device deployed for the capsule.
I love the size of the interior of these things when it comes to just like the playability with minifigures, because you can't really go much smaller and still get like room to position people inside, but any bigger, and obviously you're adding a lot of expenses because your model itself is growing. This is like that perfect mid-ground.
So you can stick your sonar operator in here. At the wonderful Easter egg that Slam did on the screen by the kit, you'll see it. But yeah, it's basically just the carryover the original Sea King, just recolored, and then definitely a lot more printed parts on it. I think the first one had some stickers for the nose numbers, and decided to do that in print.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking. Are there
Tailcoats
stickers on
print
here?
now. No, I think it's 100% sticker free.
That's awesome.
It turned out great. Kept the original feature like we did in the first one, to where you can still operate the winch
Twist it back
one-handed.
up.
Just flip that over,
That's awesome.
wind it up. So,
Did you have to do any part swapping for the new printing? Like in order to be able to get print surfaces to integrate, did you have to work with them at all on that, or did it pretty much match up?
no,
where it
I
was
think
already ready to be printed?
everything pretty much matched up this second time to where
Nice.
we didn't have to do any part swapping. So, the more you build, the better you get it. Oh, hey, this is going to be a printed part, so we
Let's
need
give
to-
them some space.
Let's give them some space. I definitely like giant billboards to print on.
Yeah, well, the UV print team thanks you, George.
Yes.
Because they like big spaces, and if you're going to cross elements, have them be a little bit bigger ones as well. Otherwise, although as we've seen, they will take on a challenge to crank out those smaller ones.
Yeah,
if needed,
say-
absolutely.
I'm a fan of the bigger parts being printed. Some of those
Especially
slopes.
on white.
Yeah, especially
Like
on
white.
white.
Come on, that's awesome getting to see that. So.
Yeah, say some of the slopes kind of get to be a pain, put them in the fixtures and all that. And I don't want to be that guy that creates more work for somebody else. I want to get along with everybody.
Well, if it leads to the better build, that's what we're ultimately striving for. But just like the last one, we do have an epic crew with this as well. So let's bring in Landon and take a little bit closer look at the SH-3 crewman.
So we brought Lando in here today to talk about the figures that he made for the
This guy just took
Sikorsky Sea King. This guy just took a nap.
like a dive.
So yeah, dive. Good one.
What? Are we actually going with this take? Okay, we can just keep going.
You're here. What do you got for us, Lando?
Okay, minifigures. First up, do you want to go over the rescue swimmers, or do you want to go over the crew first?
Let's go over the crew first. I see we've got a different guy in here from
Right on.
the original Sea King.
Yeah, just going over some different source photos, just picking out what I felt was kind of iconic for that era. This guy's actually in real life based off of a photographer. There's some interesting history in there. But the uniform that he's wearing was comparable with what the actual full crew and pilots would have been wearing. So flight suit, and then he's got these interesting kind of like, they look like the fighter jet pilot anti-G suits around his legs.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that.
But I think it's just like a specific, like extra big pockets. Like,
Yeah.
it's just more equipment. Kind of like you see, like modern times you see maybe like clipboards integrated into the flight suit, stuff like that. That might have been just something of that era. I haven't seen it much else other places, but I don't know if that's specific to these guys. But it was just an interesting piece that I felt like including on this guy. It's also cool. It's got like the name patch, the tapes on the leg piece as well. I don't know if they had some confusion with, it's like, hey, those are my pants.
Yeah, that's kind of odd to have those on the pants, but
So
different times.
like, never again, I'm putting my name on these things. Then the previous pilots came from a previous kit, including them in here again as well. So a nice crew here, some good variety. Printed beret with their unit insignia as well on top there. And yeah, that's the crew for that. Moving on to the rescue swimmers. There's some more really iconic photographs of the era. This guy put some, I don't know if there's some sort of sticker, some sort of a patch of some sort in that, flower power, hippie era stuff.
Say it was 1969. A lot of protest going on,
Right.
even with military personnel.
Right, so that was crazy to see that. Like,
There's a story behind that guy. Just Google Apollo 11 rescue diver
Right.
with flowers. You'll find his
find it,
name.
you'll
He's
find
got a
it.
book. He does lectures to this day still, I believe. So can't think of his name. I'd butcher it if I did.
Yeah.
So-
So it's based on the people that were working on this project that were there, and I try to capture a little, I guess, piece of history. Whenever stuff like that shows up in photographs, it's always interesting to include that as an extra detail. So previous swimmers as well. This guy's got a really awesome camera that waterproof, pretty advanced, I guess, fancy camera for that era.
Yeah, I'd say probably Kodak or something.
And yeah, right. I don't know. I have it written
Looks
down
good.
somewhere, but yeah, it was an important part to photograph and document the entire mission. So these rescue swimmers not only helped like secure the capsule, but also were part of the documentation process.
Yeah, say they did quite a bit more than just
Right,
securing
wow.
the capsule from capsizing or sinking, and then getting the astronauts out. Like you said, they they were, I mean, they were the, I shouldn't say boots on the ground, they were
Right.
the fins in the water.
Fins in the water.
So they, they did quite a bit of stuff, actually.
Yeah.
So we probably wouldn't have as much detailed information and reference photos from right there if it wasn't for
Right.
them.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
that camera's a nice touch.
What else? Got some. I think one of them has a knife on the side just in case lines get caught somewhere or something like that. Other than that, that's the crew and the divers. Do you have anything else?
I think that's about it. So nice, nice little figure lineup for such a big kit.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun to make. Thanks for joining us on this one.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Awesome.
So we've got a few more things to go over. So
Right on.
we'll be back.
Thank you.